Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 250,000 subscribers. So if you like what you hear, stay in the know, hit the subscribe button, watch and share with your friends. Now, look, it's obvious from the past administration to the current administration that Trump loves nepotism. And you can see it in the way that he's appointing, for example, ambassadors. And the other day on Political Beatdown, Ben Meiselas and I, Ben, my co-host, we spoke about Don Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle, along with a few of my anecdotes on Don's past relationships. Now, remember, Kimberly Guilfoyle has now been appointed or nominated to be the ambassador of Greece. Now, while she's being the appointed for the ambassadorship to Greece, we also spoke about Trump's ambassador pick, Charles Kushner, father-in-law of Trump's son-in-law, Jared, to be the new ambassador to France. But let's not stop there. Wait, it's like this is like a bad infomercial. But wait, there's more. What about Trump's new Middle East advisor, Mossad Bolos, right? Who's Tiffany Trump's father-in-law? The nepotism doesn't stop. And it's never been this blatant. You'll see what I'm saying. Play the clip. Let me say this. Let me say this about Kimberly Guilfoyle. First of all, I never understood the attraction between Don Jr. and the Guilfoyle. I mean, she is like around 9 years older than he. I mean, she was formerly married to Gavin Newsom. She's no longer kind of in the mix. There were a lot of things that she was doing that really angered not just Don Jr., but also obviously Dad and the entire group of people. So you're right. Instead of putting her with the RNC, which is a place that they were dumping everyone, keep them on the payroll, keep them quiet, keep them happy. Instead, they're going to move her now out of the country so that Don Jr. can have his relationship with this Palm Beach socialite by the name of, what's her name? Anderson, Bettina Anderson. I mean, it's great. I mean, the funny thing is Don has really changed a lot since I've known him. I was crazy about his first wife, Vanessa. She's a wonderful, she was a wonderful wife. She was a wonderful mom. She was a wonderful friend, and never understood why they couldn't make that go after, of course, he had a relationship, an affair with what's her name from the singer
Aubrey O'Day.
Aubrey O'Day, yeah, from The Apprentice.
Yeah, and you had Aubrey O'Day on Mea Culpa.
Yes,
right, and that's where I remember that episode very vividly. I think it's gotten over 1 million views on
oh yeah, well over channel. That. Yeah.
And Aubrey went over what happened. Was she with him in a club, and it happened in a club, or in like?
Well, they were together for a very long time, and it became very, very serious. And that's what ultimately broke up the marriage between Don Jr. and Vanessa. And I remember Don Jr. coming into my office, crocodile tears and all. I mean, he had just had, I think, his third child with Vanessa, and he did not want the marriage to end, and he was really angry at himself for what he had done. And he asked me if I would speak to Vanessa, which I did, and try to keep the marriage together, which I did. Wasn't easy, but I did. And then I spoke with Aubrey, and we had a very pleasant conversation, multiple conversations, which I talk about on Mea Culpa in the old episode, where I just explained that he's a father, of 3. It's not obviously good for her reputation or for her career. And I think that they should just put an end to it and not discuss it, and just let it die a slow death. to which point she turned around and she agreed, didn't want to be that home wrecker. And, despite the fact that she had very strong feelings for Junior, she loved him, and she would say that he used to tell her quite often that he loved her as well, and that she actually thought that there was going to be a future for the two of them. Lo and behold, Don didn't stop. And, he and Aubrey continued the relationship, even unbeknownst to me, again, which ultimately led Vanessa to walk away.
And of course, there's the salacious elements to this and the family drama and the constant just chaos that surrounds these Trumps. But there's a deeper issue, though, here, right, that I think is truly worthy of focusing on and pivoting away from the salacious stuff and really talking about, though, that now these ambassadorships are all being filled once again with the nepotism, with Trump family members, right? You have the ambassador of France being Charles Kushner, who Donald Trump pardoned in 2020. And just to remind people, Charles Kushner was criminally prosecuted and pled guilty. He was prosecuted by Chris Christie, then the main federal prosecutor in New Jersey, right? And Charles Kushner was involved in federal election law violations in 2004, 2005. And then he set up his own brother-in-law, his sister's husband, with a prostitute, videotaped it, showed his sister the videotape of the brother-in-law with the prostitute to try to get the sister and brother-in-law to not testify against him in the federal election case. Then he was charged with witness tampering for doing that, for attacking his own family members by setting them up with prostitutes. That's someone who's now the ambassador of France. You have Tiffany Trump's father-in-law.
He's part of the envoy now.
Mossad Boulos, who's now one of the main Middle East envoys and kind of top advisors. The New York Times just did a story about it. Mossad Boulos, President-elect Trump's incoming Middle East advisor, has enjoyed a reputation as a billionaire deal maker, but there is no indication in corporate documents that he is a man of significant wealth as a result of his businesses. This is what New York Times is reporting.
First of all, that article only takes one side to it. I want to be very clear. My understanding of the Boulos family, whether it's from the father's side, which it obviously is not, more on the mother's side, they own gold mines in Nigeria. And that's what they do. They, as a family, they were, or maybe still are, wealthier than the Trumps. They're wealthier than the Kushners. Tiffany did not marry a young man whose family's assets do not exceed hers. At one point in time, when it was speculated that Trump was going to end up being held accountable for the various 4 indictments and that the company was going to be going under, the big joke was that he was now going to have to go to the least favorite child within which to bail out his company, which they could easily have done. That's the stories that I had been, hearing from before. I don't acknowledge the fact that Boulos's company made $66,000. The whole company is worth $600,000. The ring that he bought for Tiffany would far exceed the family's net worth.
Well, that's why we have you on to break that down. And
the funny thing too. So Tiffany is a lawyer. Tiffany went to
George went to my law school.
Yeah, a la Michael. I was the one who had helped her, with the application, to get in.
You helped her with the Georgetown law application?
Look, my daughter and Tiffany have known each other since they were little kids. I've had Tiffany over to the house. She spent some time with us, even out in the Hamptons. And so she's a very nice young lady. And I've always liked Tiffany, and I've known Tiffany longer than I've known Donald. And I have to tell you, they never, not Ivanka, not Don, not Eric, none of them ever really treated her, equally and so on. But ultimately, when she married Boulos, all of a sudden, a lot of things had changed. She started to be recognized by Dad and by the siblings or the half siblings, which, to be honest with you, I'm very happy for her on that. And Marla, who I had a chance to get to know pretty well, Marla's a really nice lady, to be very honest with you. A little bit too much. She's gotten into Kabbalah, which is, to those of you who don't know, that's Jewish mysticism. She's very much into Kabbalah. She's very spiritual. In fact, she's so spiritual, I had to tell her if she didn't stop, I was going to walk away, because, everything can't be, praise Jesus or, in God's name. She's very, very, very religious when it comes to that. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.